It's 4 p.m. We're bringing you developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm Ed Lingao. Here are some stories you're watching this Thursday, June 27. President Marcos admits his government should do more than file diplomatic protests when it comes to issues involving the West Philippine Sea. The Foreign Affairs Department recently filed one over the June 17 incident off Ayungin Shoal. During that encounter, Chinese forces obstructed a Filipino resupply mission, which led to injuries to some Navy personnel and damage to Philippine vessels. And while Marcos does not think this was an armed attack, he believes it was a deliberate and illegal act by China. President Marcos says he may announce the next education secretary by the end of the week. This post will be held by VP Sara Duterte until July 19. Meantime, Marcos Jr. believes nothing has changed in the Uniteam despite Duterte's cabinet exit. He adds that future changes in the alliance will happen as soon as VP Sara decides where she stands, the administration or the opposition.
And former President Rodrigo Duterte is skipping the House probe on the war on drugs. His former spokesperson, Harry Roque, says Duterte will only attend if the investigation is in any domestic court. Former PNP chief and now Senator Bato de la Rosa was also invited to the hearing, but he declined to appear as well. Joining us today, Ana Marie Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star and Storycon's resident political pundit.
Tito.
In the U.S., live, Ronald Llamas.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good morning, Ami. Patrick.
Good morning to Ronald.
Ano pala?
Ed.
Ano pala? Uncle Ronald Llamas, hindi Tito. Nasa US eh.
Uncle.
Ayun.
Sa U.S.
Uncle.
Oo nga. Oo.
Ano, start na tayo with Dami, ano? Headlines?
Headlines, Ami, what's
Ami, what do you
the top of the Philippine Star?
Mga follow-up lang dun sa in-headline namin about yung interview natin kahapon with former Senator Trillanes.
Yun.
Sabi ni Laila de Lima, speaking for the Liberal Party, hindi pa raw sila ready na makipag-alyansa with the Marcos administration forces. Related dyan, nag-react din si President Marcos doon sa announcement ni VP Sara, di ba, na tatakbo yung dalawa niyang kapatid, saka si former President for the Senate. Sabi ni President Marcos, it's a free country.
Well, totoo naman.
Si Speaker din, nagsalita. Siya daw, hindi tatakbo sa Senate. He's running for re-election. Yan ang mga reaction.
Who's that?
Si Speaker, I think.
Speaker.
Si Speaker, yes.
He will be running for re-election as congressman.
Yeah.
At gusto siguro niya mag-speaker ulit. Yan. At syempre, inaabangan natin kasi baka yung within the week na announcement ng bagong DepEd chief mangyari mamayang gabi.
Okay, Ami,
naka-standby kami doon.
any names floating around from your end na nasasagap
Si
mo?
Senator Sani Angara yung pinakamatunog
Okay.
kasi tapos na yung term niya, di ba?
Okay.
And of course, si Prospero de Vera nung CHED.
Okay.
And meron din nagsasabi si Wilmida Guevara, hindi ba? Her name has also been mentioned.
Who is the
Yan
third
lang naman
name?
na naririnig namin.
Who is the third name?
Si
Ami,
Fred
sorry.
Pascual.
Wilwida.
Hindi ko naririnig yung name niya
Yung dating UP president.
Yes, yung dating UP. Yung tatlo lang na yun ang naririnig namin.
Senator Sani Angara's name comes to mind because his father was former education secretary
Yes.
or minister during
Former
Marcos.
UP and UP president din siya, di ba?
UP president also. And sabi mo nga, Ami, term limit na. So,
Yes.
so may ganong timing for him. But
Yes. Kaya pwede.
ikaw, Ronald, sino ang nasasagap mong pangalan from your end?
Mas maganda sana hindi politiko tsaka hindi
Yes.
hindi negosyante para hindi magamit yung posisyon. Wala masyadong ulterior motives, no. Yung talagang educator, no. Sana yun naman lang gawin ng presidente dahil nako-complicate yung posisyon kung politiko yung nilalagay. Talagang magpo-focus sa basic education.
Sino kaya
sana,
yan, Ronald?
no?
Sino kaya yan, taon na yan na hindi politiko? I know in the past we had, during the time at least of Cory Aquino, it was Lourdes Quisumbing who came from Marinol College And then at one point, yung panahon nyo, Ronald, si Father Armin Luistro, who came from the De La Salle University.
La
So
Salle.
who else is a prominent educator that could possibly be a good fit for DepEd?
Well, marami naman dyan eh. Halimbawa, yung dating Vice Chancellor sa UP, yung anak ni Pepe Diokno, no? Pwede rin si Randy David, no? Dating professor sa UP. So maraming mga posible. Pwede rin kumuha sila na galing sa UP, matalino pero technocrat din, si dating Undersecretary Shelo Magno. No? So marami naman
malabo.
na pwede makuha na hindi mga politiko na merong varied skills, educator, technocrat. Yun lang yun.
Tumatawa kayong dalawa.
Eh hindi, kasi nabanggit si Shelo
Bakit
Magno,
kayo
yun naman
natatawa?
Ronald. Diba? What are the chances, diba, she had to exit this administration, diba?
Maliit.
At the same
Pero
time,
yung sunod-sunod na study, I think they cannot ignore itong mga sunod-sunod na studies na talagang napaka-palpak na ng education natin. Ano?
Hindi lang sa reading, pati sa
creativity,
critical thinking.
innovation, lahat
Creative
tayo
thinking.
Ano na yan? It's a national crisis.
It
They
is,
have to
it is.
put someone there
That's-
na expert talaga.
that's
to
human
handle
capital.
all this. It's a very complicated problem.
That's a human capital of the country, and we're basically saying
Yes.
that we cannot count on the next generation, ganon, to really
pero
move this country.
yung qualified
Halimbawa,
Ronald, yung qualified Ronald
halimbawa,
dapat ano,
Patrick, no,
Yes.
yung kakulangan ng mga eskwelahan. Nung nag-assume si Vice President Sara Duterte, it was 90,000 schools yung kulang. No, nung bumaba siya last week, more than a week ago, ang is 160,000 yung kulang sa mga eskwelahan. So, hindi lang mahalaga yung educator, na i-improve yung curriculum. Diba? I-improve yung basic education. Pero mahalaga rin yung may management skills.
Right.
Dahil napakalaki yung backlog, 160,000 schools. No? Yung kulang. Kaya naman yan prefab para mabilisan. Yung mga prefab na mga paaralan.
Pero Tito Ronald, yung qualifier mo kanina na sana hindi politiko, sana hindi negosyante. I'd like to think that we all like to think that should apply to all the positions in the cabinet, but it seldom ever does. Yung hindi
Hindi
politiko,
naman necessarily. Halimbawa,
well, of course,
yung ibang department kasi, kinakailangan na may
negosyante.
kaunting political background dahil they have to deal with Congress and the Senate. So, hindi naman kinakailangan lahat. No? Pero, halimbawa, yung foreign affairs, maganda na hindi politiko yung nandyan. Kaya, mas okay naman yung mga tipo nila Manalo. No? Tsaka si Secretary De Rosario dati, di ba?
Okay.
Or si Babes Romualdez, no? Yung mga hindi politiko. Sa DepEd, tingin ko ganun din.
Okay,
Kailangan sana ay hindi politiko para hindi magamit yung posisyon para sa kampanya or
Right.
the election.
Ronald, when we talk about how education has declined, or let's call it collapsed over how many decades, the past few decades, it collapsed or declined at a time when we had educators at the DepEd. Is there something else we need to really turn around the educational
ang
system?
problema kinapos, halimbawa, yung K-12, nangyari yan. No? Pero mahabang panahon para i-implement yan. Mga ganun ba na medyo kinakapos Medyo kinakapos yung halos lahat ng gobyerno may problema sa improvement ng ating education. Pero kailangan na mo ng tactical na immediate yung mga na pagbabago. Halimbawa, itong ito hindi to basic education. Halimbawa, yung sa ating seafarers. Last year, muntik na tayong ma-reject yung ating seafarers. Isa to sa pinakamalaking pinanggagalingan ng ating remittances. Halos monopoly natin yung seafarers sa Europe. Tapos halos bumagsak tayo dahil hindi na atin naabot yung education criteria, di ba, para sa ating mga seafarers. Kung maalala nyo, last year, buti nabigyan tayo ng kaunting extension. No, imagine mo kung under yan ng CHED ni Popoy de Vera, under yan ng Marina. Wag na sila yung ilagay mo. Dahil sila nagkaroon ng problema diyan sa mga seafarers natin. So kumuha ka na ng bago.
Kasi nga, to my point a while ago, no, Ronald, no, we've seen Liling Briones, who is a UP professor. We've seen, well, let's start with Lourdes Quisabing, who is a Marinol president. We've had Armin Luistro, who is also an educator. Baka we need somebody else. And yet, all these educators who took charge of the DepEd, it might take, like you mentioned a while ago, a good manager in charge of a huge bureaucracy like the education department. Not a, maybe Ronald, a teacher will be a good educator, but not necessarily na magaling siya to manage the bureaucracy.
Kaya nga sabi ko, sana ay may technocratic skills din. Pero titignan nyo, isa sa systemic na problem ng ating education ay hindi lang yung curriculum, no? Hindi lang yung schools. Yung ating budget ay halos wala ka na magawa dahil malaking bahagi ng budget nakatali na sa teachers. 'Di ba? Wala ka lang flexibility para i-improve yung systemic problem ng ating educational system. Sana mas lakihan pa yung budget na alam mo nakalagay sa ating constitution na dapat yung DepEd ang pinakamalaki ang budget, 'di ba? So, kailangan din i-improve yung budget natin para diyan sa ating mga mag-aaral. Halimbawa, ang hirap matuto ng mga bata, di ba, Ami, kung sila ay gutom. Ang hirap matuto ng mga bata kung wala silang classroom. Ang hirap matuto ng mga bata kung wala silang sustansya sa katawan. Kaya nga, di ba, dati nagkaroon tayo ng program para pakainin yung mga mag-aaral. No?
May isa pang basic problem. May isa pang basic problem. That's a problem of poverty, Ronald. Din meron tayong food supplemental supplemental feeding program. Pero may isa pang basic problem yung lengguwahe, yung language, medium of instruction.
Right.
Hanggang ngayon, kailangan pag-usapan nila kung ano yan Kasi ako marami ko nakikilala yung mga galing sa mahihirap na lugar, lalo sa remote areas. Yan ang sinasabi nila bakit ka nag-drop out at 3rd grade? Sabi nila, hindi ko maintindihan kung ano sinasabi ng teacher
Oo, I think kasi nagkaroon ng...
Parang sinasabi nila, it's very basic. Communication yan. Dahil ako, student.
Yes.
Yan ang pinaka-basic
Ronald...
Paano ka matututo kung hindi mo naiintindihan yung sinasabi ng teacher? They have to decide kung ano talaga ang gagamitin
Ronald,
in every region, in every place.
Ronald, I think there was some basic structural reforms that was done by the Education Department back, I think, during the time of education reporter ako dati, yung first Education Congress. There was a decision to teach, for example, up to lower grades, to teach them in the local dialect. I think that did not work. Kasi nangyari...
Si mother tongue.
Oo, dapat yung local dialect, wala naman tayong mga educational materials or books in the dialect, ganon. So nangyari...
Di ba Patrick, isa rin, nakausap ko dati isang undersecretary Nung nag-assume siya nung undersecretary position, di ko nababanggitin yung pangalan niya dahil pumanaw na siya. Ang sabi niya, isang problema ay malalim din yung sindikato sa DepEd. Na-notice mo ba yon, Patrick? No? Sa mga libro, di ba? Diyan sa mga halimbawa yung paaralan, no, yung yung basic na paaralan ay doble ng presyo. Doble ng presyo, halimbawa kung ang gagawa ay isang Chamber of Commerce. At definitely mas mabilis ang pagpapagawa. So may ganong klaseng backlog. Merong mga ulterior motives diyan sa mga schools, kaya ang bagal. Hinihintay nila yung mas malaki ang gastos. Ikalawa, yung sa mga libro. Isa yan na pinanggagalingan ng mga sindikato. No? Dapat ngayon, malaking bahagi yan online na Di ba nagkaroon tayo ng skandal yung panahon ni Liling Briones, yung mga laptop na hindi nakaabot sa mga guro. Overpriced na nga yung laptop, hindi pa nakaabot sa mga teachers. Yung mga ganun bang mga problema, kailangan niya ay mawala o at least mabawasan.
Good luck on that.
Anyway, I think yung mga nanonood sa atin, Ronald. Ano nangyari
doon? Yung laptop scandal na yun?
Tanongin mo si Ed.
Hindi ko rin alam. Basta lumabas sa Senado, tapos after that, wala na.
Okay.
Ano nangyari doon sa laptop na yon? Di ba napatunayan na talagang may corruption? May graft, di
May
ba?
case yata, hindi ba, Ed? May final na
But
case doon.
I think there were
Related to
arguments
that.
back and forth. Some were saying na the specs were not the same as the ones that
Yes.
that were put in
Yung
the...
lumang processor na napakabagal.
Iba pa
30
yun.
minutes ata
Iba pa
bago
yun.
magbukas yung laptop. Parang ganun, Ronald,
Alam
ang
mo,
naging
hindi
problema.
na nila sa akin yung installation ng Windows, baka mapabilis ko pa yun.
Mas mura pa.
Libre ba?
Paano
Usapan
sa
yun.
panahon ng artificial intelligence, dapat na-improve na eh. Yung ganyan, di ba? Online na yung mga teachers dapat eh. Di ba? Tapos yung teachers dapat na-improve din yung kanilang capacity. Tuloy-tuloy dapat yung education nila dahil ang bilis ngayon eh. Ang bilis ngayon ng processing ng mga iba't ibang mga instruction tools, no? Curriculum, etc. baka mas mabuti pa yung mga bata, turuan na lang natin gumamit ng ChatGPT.
Ang laki kasi ng ang laki ng number one, ang laki ng budget ng DepEd, the biggest, diba?
But that goes to what people don't understand, that goes to salaries.
Yeah, salaries.
Maraming
Yes,
teacher.
yeah,
So
yeah.
number one,
salaries.
it has the biggest budget. Number two, it has the biggest number of personnel.
Aha.
So it's a huge management task that the DepEd secretary has to.
You don't necessarily, Ronald, I would argue you don't necessarily need an educator.
Kaya nga sabi ko,
Diba?
an educator and a technocrat.
A technocrat, maybe. Somebody who can manage
Kasi-
somebody who can tame
yes.
a bureaucracy.
Mabubuha
Para,
ka eh. 1 milyong
I know.
teacher eh.
Somebody who can manage the who tame the bureaucracy,
Yeah.
para hindi nangyayari
Exactly.
sinasabi mo na overpriced laptops. Parang ganyan.
So many things fall through the cracks already because of the enormity of the bureaucracy and the enormity of the budget involved.
Oo. Pero maganda, kumuha tayo ng guest na naunawaan yung problema. Sabi nga ni Ami, yung PISA, na nasa lowest 4 tayo. Yung World Bank, sa highest tayo in learning poverty. Pati literacy.
99%.
Yung sinasabi mo, Ami, literacy.
Oo.
No? Bagsak tayo.
Kaya nga.
Yung mga bata natin.
Kaya nakikita yan, nakikita sa competitiveness natin, bagsak
Right.
din ba yan? It reflects, lahat-lahat siya naapektuhan eh. Kaya kailangan
Well, you know
crisis
what's
management
even
yan.
sad,
We're in
Ami,
a
is that
crisis.
what's also sad, Ami, is that Vietnam has already, the Vietnamese educational system has already caught the attention of
Yes.
the world. It's supposed to be one of the
Yes.
best right now. So
Yes.
they're producing very learned that word, a learned workforce. Na, we used to be smug about Filipinos now to speak
Yes.
English.
Oh,
That's no
magaling
longer
English,
our competitive edge. When marunong nga mag-English, wala namang comprehension. Parang yun ang nagiging problema.
Yes.
Because the Vietnamese workforce, they can't pick up instructions. Ganon. Yun ang
Huwag
kaibahan.
natin kalimutan, Patrick, ang biggest dollar earner natin ay remittances sa ating mga migrant workers, sa ating mga OFW. Tingin ko sa midterm, magkakaroon tayo ng crisis eh. Dahil very competitive na ngayon eh sa global market, no, yung labor market. At kung yung ating next generation ng mga
Hindi mag-upskill.
workers, employees ay bagsak sa educational
Hindi
attainment,
mag-upskill.
hindi mababawasan ng husto dramatically yung ating biggest dollar earner.
Yun. Okay. Meanwhile, we have on the line mobile journalist Julie Baisa, who is going to tell us about the president's statement. He was ambushed earlier today. His
Ambush
statement
interview.
on
Ambush interview.
ambush interview. His statement on the Ayungin, the June 17 Ayungin incident. Julie?
Yes, Sir PT. Iba't ibang mga issue nga yung sinagot ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Unahin natin yung sa issue sa DepEd. Ang sabi niya, mag-aanunsyo na daw siya ngayong linggo ng bagong kalihim ng Department of Education. Kasi sabi ng Pangulo, hindi daw pwedeng iwan na lang na bakante yung DepEd kasi mahalaga daw yan. Kaya marami daw, pinamadali na daw nila yung proseso
Julie.
ngayon. Marami na raw siyang pangalan.
Okay, yan. Julie, sino ang mga matutunog na pangalan? At we asked Ronald, we asked Ami. From your
Yes,
end, sino naman ang lumulutang?
Yung mga lumulutang na pangalan sa amin, sina Senators Joel Villanueva, Angara, si Roman Romulo, of course, si Professor Garita Carlos,
Maraming
Isa din siya sa mga lumulutang na pangalan na na possible Nagtanong tayo sa Pangulo kanina kung ilan Kaya lang ang sinagot niya is yun nga, minamadali na, may mga pangalan na. Ang hahanapin na lang daw ngayon, educator ba? Ano pa ba yung mga kailangan sa DepEd, sa administrative side? Kasi nga hindi daw pwedeng iwan na nakatiwangwang. Kasabay niya, natanong na rin namin yung resignation of course ni VP Sara kasi hindi pa nagsalita ang Pangulo tungkol dyan Kanina ang sabi niya, talagang wala daw binigay na reason si Inday Sara sa kanya. At nung tinanong niya, ang sabi daw, ayaw na daw pag-usapan. Wag na daw nilang pag-usapan. So, hinayaan na lang siya ng Pangulo.
Ganun ang sagot?
And,
Teka. Yung sabihin, tinanong niyang diretso, anong dahilan? Sabi sa kanya, huwag natin pag-usapan, gano'n?
Hindi daw talaga nagbigay ng dahilan. Sabi sa kanya, wag na nating pag-usapan. So,
Wait, Julie, hold it. Sino may sabi na wag na pag-usapan? Is this the President telling the reporters or is this VP Sara telling the President?
VP Sara telling the President na
malaman yun.
Huwag na nilang pag-usapan.
Okay. May
before you leave the education issue, Julie, before you leave, so I suppose by that you mean the President is not in the mood to take over the education portfolio like he did with the agriculture portfolio, because he found, di ba, in 2022 he found the agriculture portfolio so important that he refused to let go of it for almost a year. But this time I suppose ang education ibibitawan niya.
Ayaw niya.
Ayaw niya.
Ayaw niya.
Kasi ang sabi niya, maraming pangalan
So walang pangalan. Okay, sige.
Sabi niya, maraming pangalan. So mga pinagpipilian sa... Iko-quote ko lang yung kanina Ang sabi ni VP Sara, wag na lang natin pag-usapan. Yan ang sabi ng Pangulo.
Okay.
May ano naman, Julie, ang naging sagot ng Presidente doon?
Sabi niya, I did not force the issue.
Okay.
Hindi na daw niya pinuwersa na magsalita. Kumbaga parang hinayaan na lang din niya since ayaw magsalita.
Paano kaya yung diskusyon nun?
Wala namang sinabi si Presidente sa mga reporter na it's complicated. Wala nang ganon.
Or no comment.
Pero ang nakakatuwang sagot ng Pangulo kanina kasi tinanong na namin yung pagtakbo ng mga Duterte.
Okay.
Ang sabi niya, it's a free country. It's a free country. They're allowed to do whatever they want.
Yun. Ang sagot mo naman, Bok, tama naman.
Tama naman.
Tama naman.
Ang mga pwedeng sagot yan, tama naman. Ikaw na.
Masyado pa rin maagang pag-usapan Kasi marami pa rin mangyayari. Wala pa daw 2028. Pwede pa rin magbago. Kung sino ba talaga yung tatakbo. And even sa alliances, Kasi kanina, medyo election halo-halo yung napag-usapan. Pati yung Uniteam, sinagot na rin ng Pangulo. Ang sabi niya, buo pa yung Uniteam. For him, buo pa yung Uniteam. Nakadepende lang daw kay Inday Sara kung ano yung magiging posisyon niya pagdating ng eleksyon. Kung sasama ba siya sa administrasyon o magiging opposition siya. So, yun yung magiging major determinant kung mapubuwag yung youth team.
Okay, Jolie, hold it there, because we can actually listen to what the President said earlier in this clip, with this clip.
The Uniteam is still there. And if you look at the structure of the parties that ran together in the last election, that really hasn't changed. Depende kung saan siya papanig. That will determine whether or not that will be the biggest change in the Uniteam. Na kung mawala sa Uniteam si Inday Sara, yun ang pinakamalaking change kung sakali man.
But I think it's important to point out as well that when Inday Sara ran in 2022, she ran under Lakas, di ba?
No.
Di ba?
No, Bok.
Yeah.
Didn't she join?
I don't know.
Didn't she join Lakas?
Lakas CMD.
Oh.
Yes.
She is part of the Lakas CMD.
Yeah,
Kasi
but
she
then she
resigned.
resigned in
She resigned later.
2023 out of
But
Yeah.
Ronald, correct me if I'm wrong. My recollection is Uniteam wasn't it
Hugtong is
PFP?
local
No, that's
Hugtong is local.
Partido Federal.
Hugtong is local. Lakas CMD, hindi ba sumama nga siya, may picture sila nila Bong
sumama
Revilla
siya
dun sa
Lakas.
kasal.
She joined Lakas, became the chairperson,
Yes.
and then she resigned from Lakas in 2023 nung
Naglakas
matanda si
siya, nung
Gloria.
nakipag-away siya kay Speaker.
So technically, with the President
Yes.
says na hindi naman nagbago yung mga political parties.
Tama. Doon pa rin naman yung
Totoo
Lakas.
naman.
Pero it's with the Speaker now. We discuss
Wala na
it.
si Sara doon. So,
Pero remember, sinabi na ni BP
Tama.
Sara, sabi niya, the Uniteam was good only for 2020.
After the
Tama po.
election,
Nagsalita na siya doon.
oh, tsaka, I think when the president says that the Unity team is still there, his premise is because the vice
party.
president,
The party.
that one, the parties
Yes.
are still there,
Oh.
and the vice president has not announced any break off.
Right.
So it's more of a passive statement na it's still there because nobody's broken off.
Tama naman.
Ewan ko kung ano pang kailangan mong break off dyan. Sige nga, ano pang short of resigning as vice president, ano pang kailangan mo dyan break off?
medyo nakakatawa yung statement na yun, no? Na buo pa yung unit team.
Well, tama rin
You
naman,
are
Ronald.
redefining the meaning
Dahil
of
yung partido,
unity.
nandun pa rin.
Oh,
Medyo
that's
nakakatawa
the
yun.
difficulty of trying to divine what's happening based on party lines, Ronald. Kasi talagang wala naman talagang hirap di ba? Labo-labo yan
And if you take the statements literally,
Tama.
tama naman.
Tama. Oo.
Di ba, Ronald?
Wala ka mang balita sa Liberal Party. Sinabi nga ni Laila de Lima, hindi pa daw panahon ng LP na sumama dun sa sinasabi ni Senator Trillanes.
Oo,
Sabi ko
yan.
nga Ami kahapon sa Storycon, di ba? Bago nagsalita si Sunny Trillanes, ang sabi ko ay kahit may mga similarities o mga unities, halimbawa sa foreign policy, doon sa anti-drug war, yung paglayo sa Tokhang, ay fundamentally magkaiba pa rin. Kaya sabi ko, at least sa midterm, hindi pa magsasama. Pero yung sabi naman kasi ni Sunny, parang proyekto niya. Proyekto niya na magsama. Tinanong nga ni Patrick kahapon yung Akbayan ba at saka si Risa Hontiveros ay sasama. Sabi niya, hindi pa nakakausap. No? Kaya mas yung pagtingin ko ay tama yung sinabi ni Laila de Lima na medyo mahihirapan at this point na sumama sa Uniteam. Sa Uniteam na hindi pa nawawasak. So, matadagdagan yung Uniteam.
Okay. Pero Ronald, ang tanong ko lang, Ronald, ang tanong ko lang, bagit mo si Laila de Lima, wala pa rin desisyon yung Liberal Party. Ang tanong ko, Ronald, sino na lang bang natitira sa Liberal Party?
Oo
Kasi
nga
pagkakalokos, si Bam Aquino,
Well,
Kiko
meron naman
Pangilinan,
silang
they've already moved to...
Meron naman silang pito o 8 congressmen, no? Tapos andun yung ex-senator na patakbo si Kiko Pangilinan. At alam ko formally si Lenny naman ay Liberal Party. Yung isang partido na bago, yung binuo ni Bam tsaka ni Shell Jock, no? No, yung binuo nilang partido, no? Tapos yung junior partner nila dati pa, yung Akbayan. So basically yung tatlo. Pero ang mas malaki diyan or potential ay yung pink wave. Yung bumoto sa kanila nung last election at sumama sa kampanya. Kung ma-harness nila 'yon at co-consolidate, then pipick upin nila yung mga disenchanted sa Uniteam. Dahil yung Uniteam kasi 61% yung nakuhang boto Kung yung Uniteam na yan ay sabi nga, 'di ba Ed, yung survey ng Okta, may 20%
versus 31.
na Duterte pa rin at merong 31% na Marcos. So meron kang 15% na undecided, na 35% na ayaw, 'di ba? At meron kang 5% na nandun sa pink. So ibig sabihin may potential pa rin kung titingnan mo yung numbers. Pero those are potentials. Those are potentials, hindi siya actual.
But Ronald, let me recast the question. Kasi I do understand, siyempre may hesitancy yan at this point dahil wala pa namang malinaw Labo-labo pa lahat Puro pakiramdaman pa Pero in the event na talagang malakas, just in the event, talagang malakas yung mga Dutertes, whether it's for the midterm or for 2028, what are the chances na pumayag ang classic opposition to?
Probable yun, Ed Lingao. Pero after ng midterms. Not during the midterms. No? Yung midterms mo, mga 10 months na lang di ba?
Yeah.
So after ng midterms, tapos umaangat pa rin kung makabalik si Sara at ma-preempt niya yung kanyang pagbagsak ng approval rating at umangat siya at maging frontliner siya uli. Then posibleng magkaroon ng tactical coalition lahat ng forces.
Doon mas malaki yung chances.
Pero Ronald, pag malakas ang mga Dutertes in 2025, napakalaking bagay yan on the way to 2028.
Yes,
Kaya may katulad Trillanes na kailangan madaliin nyo yan dahil there's still half a year before the formal start of the campaign for 2025, maghanda na kayo. Kasi malaking bagay yun. You will have several, lalakas yung Duterte forces sa Senate, napakalaking bagay nun.
Ang sabi nga ni Trillanes, may mga talks. Yun yung mahalaga. Ang sabi ko lang, baka malabo na mangyari yan during the midterms. No? At saka kailangan natin i-qualify na yes, malakas ang mga Duterte pa, at perhaps may 1 or 2 na mananalo sa Senate kung tutuloy. Hindi naman siguro 3 dahil kailangan may maiwan sa Davao. No? Pero talagang dominant pa rin yung magiging winnability ng administration slate. Pero ang sinasabi ko, yung mga mananalo ba under the administration slate ay magiging loyal kay Bongbong after the midterms kung merong ibang tataas na sa rating for president sa 2028. Yun naman yung duda ko. No? Dahil marami sasama sa administration slate ay very tactical. Very tactical. Dahil alam nila, very powerful yung administration during the midterms. Pero yung loyalty nila ay hindi assured. Hindi assured. After they win. After they win. Halimbawa, yung mga nationalista, very critical yan kay BBM. Yung mga Villar, si Aimee, si Pia, no? Very critical yan. Pero sasama yan sa administration slate. Kaya, sino pa yung mga sasama tactically? Very tactical, di ba, Ami? Very tactical naman yung pagsama sa slate. Pero afterwards, I doubt kung yung loyalty nila was ever there or will continue.
Which applies,
Wala naman
like I
loyalty
said, to the entire
Wala naman
Congress
loyalty
naman.
sa mga politician natin, Ronald.
Exactly. Di ba? So
Puro
titingnan nila kung
opportunistic
sino mataas.
alliances to.
Pero again, sabi ko nga, ay mas probable yung broad coalition after the midterms. After the midterms. Pero tama ka, dapat simulan na yung talks.
Yes.
Yun, team.
Okay. Yan na nga.
Okay, si Julie pa, nandiyan pa. Si Julie.
Pakawala mo na, Bok.
Julie, andiyan ka pa ba?
Alas may tanong
Julie,
Nawala
last
si Julie.
question.
Hindi, baka
Julie.
meron pa siyang ano eh. Baka may dagdag pa si Julie.
Sino yung nag-attempt na laslasin yung leeg ni Vice President Sara?
Anong balita doon?
Hindi niya alam
balita
yan.
kayo doon?
may bagong issue eh.
She addressed it in a video.
Yung gurgur?
Yes.
Wala po tayong attention sa Burgor.
Of course, irreverently,
Hindi
she
siya
addressed
KBP yun eh.
the scar, the very conspicuous scar on her neck. So, pero nilaro lang ni EVP Sara yung pagsasagot niya doon sa may nagtangkadong gurgurin siya. Ronald, ang ibig sabihin ng gurgur? Yan. Sino nakakalap dito?
Hindi ko alam, educate nyo ako kung ano ibig sabihin ng burgur.
oo. I think gilitan no? Gilitan
Chugi.
Oo, gilitan. Kaya ganon. Yan, ito yung video na yan. Bilis talaga ng mga producer natin mag-ungkat ng mga
Si
video
Mama
for
ko
playback.
Sinubukan nila akong igur. May sarap.
Parang tiyanak yung boses eh.
Sarang sa imong lihok. Sinubukan nila akong igurgur pero hindi sila nagtagumpay.
Yan.
Kaya yung muestra niya, Ronald, ganon, parang gurgur, gilitan.
Sasabihin niyo dyan, Patrick, later, figure of speech lang naman. Figure of speech. Pero
Obviously
nagbarka, di ba? Nagbarka, pinag-uusapan. Di ba? Ngayon, baka kasama ng tambaluslos ay magiging iconic na yung gurgur.
Yan.
No?
Yan. Ano yan it was very obvious from the time when she went on her press conference after when she resigned. Halatang-halata talaga. Medyo, Ami pinag-usapan namin ni Jovi, who is a former medical student, so he knows his thing. Sinasabi, usually thyroid yan
Ha?
Yeah.
Thyroid operation daw. But ang pinagtatakan lang ni
problem.
Jovi, in this day and age, normally, it's a clean cut.
And small.
It's small.
It's really
It
small
shouldn't look
usually.
that ugly unless nagtipid ng doktor.
And also, it'd be bandaged.
Oo, ganon. Normally, di ba, Ami, hindi na ganyan kapangit yung scar.
Baka nag-keloid.
Baka keloid.
Keloid lang ngayon.
Tama.
Baka nag-keloid lang siya.
Oo. Pan siya.
Baka nag-keloid.
Oo. Tama yung sinabi ni Ami.
Yun. Ayan, no? Even from
Pero yung mga
afar,
video niya,
kitang-kita.
they are pretty nasty, ha? Yung mga video yung ina-upload niya. Kahit walang direct na pinatatamaan, medyo nasty yung dating, hindi ba?
Style niya. There was another video when she was eating mango, green mangoes
yung
with
ano,
bagoong. With hilabos ba yun o hilamos?
Yes.
So sorry, no, bagoong
Yeah,
na lang.
ginamos.
Bagoong.
Ginamos.
Ginamos, sorry, no? Sorry po.
Yes, ginamos. Ginamos yung sarap yun. Pero the messaging was quite nasty as well.
Oo, ang
yung mga
comment naman
ina-upload
niya
na
doon.
parang yung tambaluslos, di ba?
Yeah, ang comment
It's
naman niya doon,
nasty,
Ami.
kaya nagkaroon ng ganong klaseng reaksyon yung tinamaan, although wala siyang pinangalanan. May tinamaan nakakaintindi ng Bisaya yung tinamaan, kaya naging ganon ang reaksyon.
Buo pa kasi yung Uniteam. Buo pa
Kaya ngayon, tinitignan natin kung ano nga ang magiging reaction ng administration forces dito sa pag-announce na tatakbo pala yung mga Duterte and they want some control over Congress, over the Senate. Nakita nila kung ano impact, kung ano pwedeng gawin sa kanila ng mga ng mga lawmakers. So it's significant na ngayon, suddenly, they're going out of the local politics at pupunta na sila dyan.
It's a free country nga
It's a free country.
It's a free country nga, di ba? Sabi ni Presidente. It's a free country. Makikita mo talaga yung kaibahan ng personality ng Presidente at ng Vice President. Dito sa huling interview ni Baisa ay talagang nakita mo again yung passive-aggressive attitude ng Presidente. Di ba?
Hindi siya
Habang
yung
yung
gumagawa
sinasabi
ng
mo nga, Ami, yung mga dinadownload na video ni Vice President Sara, talagang atake. No? Talagang atake. Talagang insulto. Di ba? So makikita mo yung kaibahan ng personality ng dalawa.
Okay, Bok, teka, mag-up muna tayo. At makapag-commercial tayo. Basta kunwari, commercial tayo. Sige, you're watching Storycon on One News.
Gurgur,
Just
para
take a break.
malaman natin yung gurgur.
We'll be right back.
If you got the developing news and the stories behind the headlines, welcome back to the Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm Ed Lingao, also with us, Ami Pamintuan and Tito Ronald Llamas, or Uncle Ronald Llamas.
Uncle.
Uncle.
Ronald, I see that you have been doing some speaking engagement in the US. Ano ba to, mga PhilAm community ba to? And I wonder what the sentiment of the PhilAms are there, I think with regards to what's happening here in the West Philippine Sea.
Well, yung halimbawa, nagsalita ako dun sa Independence Day celebration nila sa Jersey City. Marami several hundreds yung mga dumalo. Sabi ko nga, wag na ako pagsalitain dahil yung maraming Zumba group dito, sayawan na, tsaka kantahan. Nandito si Ai de las Alas.
Yung mga pinupunta
Pero
mo
nung
talaga.
nagsalita ako tungkol sa West Philippine Sea, sila nakafocus yung kanilang attention. Tapos nung pinasigaw ko sila, mga slogan sa West Philippine Sea, atin ito, nagsisigawan yung mga tao. Galit sila. Kaya kahit dito ay buhay yung issue ng West Philippine Sea. Wala akong nakita na hindi nag-participate, na hindi nag-response dun sa mga speeches. Kaya nagulat ako. Usually kasi yung mga PhilAm natin dito, parang very passive sila sa politika. Very passive sila sa mga development sa ating bansa.
Okay.
Pero nung nakita ko sa mga lectures ko rito, at saka yung mga rallies, very responsive. No? I was surprised. Yung mga Amerikano na nakakausap ko, sila yung medyo lito dahil daw mixed messages yung nakukuha sa ating gobyerno. Kaya halimbawa ngayon, buti naman, medyo missing na si Executive Secretary Bersamin. No? Dahil baka mahirapan siya magpaliwanag. So, sa level ng mga PhilAm ay very, very responsive at very committed do sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea. Pero yung mga Amerikano, ng mga experts, ay medyo confused sila dun sa pag-iba ng mga messages ng ating gobyerno.
Pero Ronald, yung mga PhilAm, are they happy with the way Bongbong Marcos is handling the issue.
Well, may mga kwan sila. Gusto nila mas maging aggressive. At least doon sa mga forum. Yung mga forum kasi mga 50 people lang eh. Yung mga rally, malalaki, several hundreds. Kaya hindi mo na sila makakausap.
Ano?
Pero
Klaseng agresibo?
Pero yung kwan, ang tingin nila, kulang tayo. Kulang pa tayo sa scaling up.
You mean more aggressive and more assertive?
Ang kanilang nararamdaman, ang kanilang nakikita ay parang kwan na lang tayo, nagpapagulpe. No, parang tayo ay biktima na lang. Ang gusto nila, lumabas tayo sa pagiging biktima.
Okay.
Of course, medyo malayo sila
Hindi
sa
naman
atin.
natin kaya yun.
Kanya nga.
Hindi naman natin.
Madaling sabihin,
Considering the capability of our military and Coast Guard.
Yes,
Hindi naman
yes.
natin kaya makipagbanggaan sa China.
Yes, tsaka
Diba?
malayo sila eh. Tsaka malayo yung mga PhilAm sa atin. Kaya pwede nilang sabihin yun. Diba?
Yeah.
Oo. Pero yun yung kanilang, sinasabi ko lang, yun yung kanilang sentiment. Baka pwede pa tayo mag-scale up in terms of pag-resist ng aggression ng China.
Okay. Bok, let me just break in. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are about to face off for the first debate in
Yes.
this election cycle. CNN's Jake Tapper and Dana Bush will moderate the event. Here's a preview of what viewers can expect to see and to hear.
Welcome to the set of the CNN presidential debate. We want to give our viewers a sense of the rules of the debate so that when they watch it, they can understand how President Biden and President Trump will be engaging with each other. Tomorrow night, just after 9 p.m. Eastern, President Biden will enter from the right side of your screen. President Trump will enter from the left side of your screen. The podiums are 8 feet apart. Directly across from them, the moderators, CNN's Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Now, a reminder, this is a television studio. There's no audience. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions and 1 minute for responses and rebuttals. At the moderator's discretion, there may be an additional minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. So how does a candidate know how much time is left to speak? Attached to the cameras in the studio and in the candidate's field of view are the timing lights. When the lights show yellow, there are 15 seconds left in a candidate's answer or response. When the lights flash red, there are 5 seconds left. And when the display is solid red, the time is up. At that point, the candidate's microphone will be turned off, and the other candidate will have their microphone turned on. My colleague, Victor Blackwell, has more on that.
Thank you, Phil. If we go behind the podiums, you can see 2 green lights. When they're on, they signal to the candidate his microphone is on. When the green lights are off, they signal to the candidate his microphone is off. Now I want to give you a sense of what it will look like for viewers at home if a candidate whose microphone is off interrupts a candidate whose microphone is on. So I'm standing at one podium, and I'll ask Phil to come in and take the other podium. And so let's say I'm answering a question. My light is green, and I'm speaking. Phil's microphone is off, and his green lights are not illuminated. He's going to interrupt me as I'm speaking, and this is what it will sound like. My volume remains constant, while Phil's interruption can be difficult to understand.
Let's try the opposite. My microphone is now on. Victor's microphone is off, and he's going to interrupt me. My volume remains constant, while Victor's interruption can be difficult to understand. Now, CNN's production team has shared this demonstration with the campaigns earlier today, and we're sharing it with you, our viewers, so everyone fully understands how tomorrow night will work. Now, we should note, by agreeing to participate in this debate, both campaigns and candidates have also agreed to abide by these rules. The CNN presidential debate airs live tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
One News will carry the simulcast of the CNN presidential debate tomorrow, June 28 at 9 in the morning. We will have, before that, a pre-debate discussion at 8 a.m. with Ed Lingo here and Regina Lay. They will be hosting it with some of our pundits. So that's tomorrow. Please do watch and catch it.
Naalala mo, Patrick, meron tayong Storycon na pinag-usapan natin yung conviction ni Trump at tinitignan natin how it will affect yung kanyang ratings. Mukhang may effect na eh. Dahil since no conviction, yung gap sa polling, sa survey between Biden at saka Trump ay dumikit na. Mismo sa Fox News survey, Fox News
Right.
na malapit kay Trump ay lamang si Biden. Yung karamihan ay lamang si Trump by 1%. Kaya makikita natin na yung conviction may epekto. Of course, alam natin sa Amerika ngayon hindi accurate yung polling, 'di ba? Pero yung inaccuracy is just a few percentage points. Halimbawa, nung nanalo si Trump, ang surveys mananalo si Hillary. nung nakaraan namang surveys ay isi-sweep ng Republicans yung Congress at saka House. Hindi nila nagawa yon. So minsan hindi ganun ka-accurate yung survey. Pero ang nakikita natin ngayon, Patrick, yung pinag-usapan natin dati nung na-convict si Trump ay nangyayari na. Medyo nag-narrow na yung gap. Dati kasi malaki, 8-9% eh. No, nung bago ma-convict si Trump. Ngayon ay dikit na.
Okay. Etong
Patrick,
rules,
maganda yung setup dun sa CNN. Pag nag-organize ang TV5 One News, ganun din yung mga ilaw-ilaw.
Hindi lang yun. Yung microphone
no?
patay.
yun.
Pero
Mukhang
Ami,
designed
Ami,
for...
Natuto sila.
setup
Kasi
si Trump.
di ba, minsan
siya
ano
yung
eh.
mahilig mag-interrupt eh.
In the
Di ba
previous
siya yung mahilig mag-interrupt
in the previous debates,
Eh,
nagtutol
ngayon,
yung kandidato
hindi
sa
na pala
kabilang
Hindi, dito sa atin,
Sino kandidato?
dito sa atin,
Hanggang
sana
sila.
magkaroon ng ganyang klaseng debate,
Diretso mo yung Pong, sino kandidato
Siguro
yun?
yung mga susunod nating kandidato, papayag na mag-debate, wala na siya,
Yan.
Although ewan ko dahil sa nakita nila, si Bongbong Marcos ayaw sumama sa debate, nanalo. Yan ang problema.
Oh, there you go.
Yan ang problema. Debate averse.
Yeah.
No talk, no mistake.
Pero some people
Okay
might
yun,
be asking,
hindi lang conflict averse, debate averse.
so some people might be asking, why are we airing this and why are we jumping into this race, sa US election?
Yes.
But in the end kasi naman, di ba, whatever happens in the US, like it or not, may
It will affect us.
may epekto sa atin eh.
It will shape the
Yes.
world. It will shape the
Yes.
world. Halimbawa dito sa South China Sea.
Although I did take note, a couple of days ago, si Ambassador Babes Romualdez said na, let me pull it up. Sabi ni Babes Romualdez, well, Trump and Biden feel the same way about China, so he does not expect any changes in the
Yes.
ties between the two countries, whoever wins in the elections.
Yes.
Because Biden basically just continued the policies of Trump, and
Yes.
so there's not much difference. Pero
Consistent naman ang foreign policy ng US.
Pero kasi may konting nuance
Consistent
in those are
May mga konti-konti lang na pagkakaiba.
But those are sweeping
At tingin ko may
policies.
pagbabago sa foreign policy sa Ukraine. Doon magiging fundamental ang pagbabago. Ukraine at saka Europe. Kung halimbawa, Trump presidency. Dito sa ating region, hindi masyado. Basically, it will remain. Pero very unpredictable si Trump. Halimbawa, yung usapin sa TikTok sa US, yung both Republicans at saka Democrats nag-unite na hindi pwede yung TikTok na...
China yun
Oo, dahil
China issue
kontrolado ng
yan
China. Dapat ibenta nila or else papalisin sila sa kwan. Pero ang kumontra si Trump. No, si Trump kinontra yung bipartisan agreement against TikTok. Kaya meron ding element na unpredictability si Trump
Yeah. Tsaka po, they may feel the same way about China, pero may nuancing din on how they respond
May nuancing.
There are, for example, concerns. There are concerns that Trump may want to bring U.S. troops home from Japan and South Korea. Kasi mas on the isolation side siya ng konti versus Biden So there's that baka mag-pull out siya ng US troops, and as well si Trump has proven to be more averse to to alliances di ba? You've seen how he deals with NATO and so on down the line So again, may nuancing doon na baka mamaya sabihin niya, kayo nang bahala diyan sa Southeast Asia, kayo mag-alyansa. hindi kami ganyan they may feel the same about
baka hindi
China,
naman magbago ng gano'n dito sa South China Sea, sa West Philippine Sea. Kahit si Trump hindi naman magbabago ng policy over Taiwan. No? Baka sa North Korea may kaunting pagbabago. Ikalawa, ang sabi ni Digong, best friend daw niya si Trump.
best friend niya.
Yes.
Diba? Sabi ni Digong, best friend daw sila
And I do remember
Kinantahan
din in 2017 sabi niya best friend sila.
Kinantahan pa niya
And also nung sinabi ni Digong na i-suspend ang BFA, ang sabi ni Trump, well and good, that saves me money. Pero yung defense secretary niya kinabahan. Yung defense secretary niya parang, we don't want that to happen. so may ganding
So there will be some differences one way or another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, especially kung best friend mo yung presidente ng Amerika. Malaking bagay, Ronald, di ba?
Yes, definitely. No?
A game changer yan.
Hindi lang sa
Di ba?
atin, kundi sa mundo.
Oo. Okay.
Pero sa China, I don't think,
It will be
big
the
power
same.
rivalries yan I don't think masyadong magkakaiba ang magiging policy nila.
Pero Ami, nung nanalo si Trump, inimbita ko ng Chinese Embassy to victory party. Masaya sila na nanalo si Trump. Nung kanya, yung presidente siya. Kaya...
Pero hindi pa ganito ang sitwasyon noon eh. Hindi pa ganito ang sitwasyon noon sa South China Sea.
Yes, pero
Hindi
given a choice...
Hindi pa ganun ka-assertive. Hindi pa ganun ka-assertive noon ng China.
Yes. Pero
Ngayon
given
talaga,
a choice...
binabangga talaga sila eh.
Oo. Pero given a choice, baka mas preferred pa rin nila si Trump. Dahil ang tingin nila kay Trump, negosyante, a businessman. At a businessman will do business. Ang tingin nila kay Biden, ideological eh. Yung Democrats, ang tingin nila, ideological yung opposition sa China. Si Trump, ang tingin
Pinapauwi nga
nila...
ni Trump yung mga America first yan eh. Pinauwi nga niya yung mga investor eh. Binabalik nga niya American investor to America eh. Kaya may problema din dyan ng China.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for
Pero
joining the
sabi nga ni
Storycon
Patrick,
today.
May mga ilang differences.
Ami, Ronald, thank you for joining the Storycon today. I'm Ana Marie Paminton, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit.
Jessica, tomorrow
Guru.
4 p.m.
Happy Thursday.
Gurgur. Gurgur. Well, Jessica, tomorrow 4 p.m. for the Storycon. I'm Ed Lingao.
I'm Patrick Pius. We are One News, all sides, all the time. This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.